Boker Tov, good morning. This is our third, lesson number 2, 0, 1, 2 on the Tanya. We're learning Tanya every morning at Rinat Yerushalem at 5:45 a.m. for about 15, 20 minutes, very brief, as you know. And we started through an introduction of Tanya. Start to think about in a very simple terms, not very halachic, not very esoteric, not very philosophical, but just practical sense. So as we're reading in Tanya, think about the introduction itself is just as interesting as the book itself. Rabbi Shneur Zalman's history is, if you think about the time, we're talking about 250 years ago. Baal Shem Tov was born 1698. It's basically he functioned in the 18th century, 1700s and on. At the same time, when Vilna Gaon, his counterpart from the Gnagdim, was acting in Vilna. And then the next generation was Maggid of Mezrich, 1704 to 1772. That's most of the 18th century. Shneur Zalman is 1745 to 1812. He died, contracted pneumonia in the snow, running away from it's Napoleon's war from French invading Russia. He took side, of course, for the Russians at that time because he felt emancipation that will follow the Jews if French won would be catastrophic for the Jews. So he took the side of Russians. And then the next generation will be first, I guess, Lubavitch Rebbe Dov Ber, Rabbi Dov Ber, 1773 to 1827. And then from then and several more generations of Rebbes came until Shneur Zalman, the last Rebbe, some couple of decades ago. So in the introduction, this is the Tanya's authors, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi. Very interesting. There was a lot of strife and struggle going on between Mignagdim side and the new Hasidim development started from Baal Shem Tov and on. And within the Hasidim itself also was internal struggle. There was essentially power play for the power. Now we can speculate. It's probably for people of that level and stature. That wasn't power for the politics, but power for what they felt the right way to move Torah forward. And even within the Hasidim movement, the son of Maggid of Mezrich, who Rabbi Shneur Zalman was one of the youngest. He was like 25, 27 when he was a student of Maggid. And Maggid's son, Rabbi Abraham, was very friendly, and they learned together. But eventually, they a little bit drawn apart because Rav Abraham felt that Tanya was okay. The Kabbalistic transmissions of Maggid were very good, but should be limited to a very selected group of people, knowledgeable and capable of understanding it. Very similar to what Shimon Bar Yochai was very much afraid. And later on, Arizal had similar concerns that wide masses of people might not be able to handle it right. And we know a famous Zohar story when Shimon Bar Yochai was struggling. Should I reveal this to my group? Should I not reveal? Are they essentially right material to transmit, to receive the transmission of this knowledge of the esoteric, very high revelations of God through him or not? That's a struggle. If I don't say it, it will be lost. If I say it, will they handle it right? I'm sure, like Rebbe, not Lubavitch Rebbe, but Yehuda Hanassi had similar task when he had to compile Mishnah into writing. If I don't write it down, it will be lost. If I write it down, it's violation of a tradition that says oral Torah shouldn't be written. So within Hasidim was a similar struggle, and unfortunately, I'm not sure even Hasidim had that, but certainly Mizgnagdim reported, Shneur Zalman reported Magid to the authorities, and in a certain time they were imprisoned by the Russians, by the Russian authorities, which is when you think about the message that I get it from introduction there is that we always as Jews struggled in passing the name of God from a best motives. But unfortunately, that feeling, what I see, is the feeling of self-righteousness. That I really know. Vilna Gaon really knows what to do, and others miss it. Um, Rev um, Shimon Bar Yochai also struggled with that. He had some doubts, and Shneur Zalman uh, also had been involved in what turned out to be a little bit of political situation, but based on very good intentions. So when you think about that setup, why we Jews, and today we also have, today actually we have kind of reunification, hopefully reunifications of the old Jewish strands, whether it's your Hasid or Mignagdim or your uh, this brand or branch of the Hasidus and that branch of the or maybe you're not following the Torah properly in my eyes or in somebody else's eyes. I don't follow it properly. It caused a lot of strife and division among the Jews. And the current situation in Gaza, maybe Hashem through Hamas is sending us a message: unite, stop bickering, stop wondering if I'm going to a minchag, if I am going to the Shakrit, if I have this particular prayer book, if I have this siddur and I have another siddur, then I cannot be part of the minyan because I have a different minhag. Say, oh, no, I'm not praying with you. I'm going to start my own. Instead of uniting, okay, there's a shachrit going on. Take your siddur, whatever your tradition is fine, and most of it the same, and just follow that. And the guy next to you, Sephardi, he has his siddur, and next to you, Ashkenazi, he's got his siddur. So what? It's still all the same word of God. It's those 11 gates or 13 gates that Arizal and Bar Yochai was talking about. There's many ways to get to the close to God, as close as you can. You don't have to say, "Well, this is our gate," and you don't. And if I happen to go through gate number 7 and use gate number 5, but if I choose to go to your gate number 5 or use through mine number 7, what's the big deal? You still get ultimately inside the right place. So when people went to Maggid, Baal Shem Tov, and then Shneur Zalman eventually for advice, the whole reason of writing the book, the Tanya, is to extend the ability of Rav Shneur Zalman beyond his personal ability to meet everybody. He just was running out of energy to cover so many questions. But he wrote the book, and his idea was, I'm going to train several trusted disciples in what I really mean, and they will expand the word, and that's what Hasidus essentially started from that idea. So just writing the book itself and tell people to read it is not enough. But if personal attention is the best situation, but it's just not enough of me, just what Moshe took advice of Yisro to create the Sanhedrin, to have a group of people. By doing that, he limited ability to influence people because it was no longer his attention. But on the other hand, got 3 million people and it's only one Moshe. It's very difficult to attend to everybody. So it's an eternal struggle. What do I do? But ultimately, we'll decide what type of questions people really had going to Shneur Zalman or to Moshe Rabbeinu for that matter. They maybe not necessarily coming to esoteric questions, how many angels are there in the sky and how do I pray, what kavanah. That's all nice to know. But people, when you think about it, had issues. They had health issues. They had family issues. They have problem what to do. And they not necessarily might be looking, this is just my surmising, not coming to him and tell him how many terms of tefillin you have to put over your arm. Many people say, listen, my family is not feeling good, and I don't know, I'm worried about the future, and a doctor says this and doctor says that, and I don't have too many friends, I'm getting old, and how do I handle things? What about medical bills? These type of things, people worry about it, and they want to have some guidance and help, communal support. And that is what Tanya really comes to tell us, I think. Not necessarily splitting hair. Am I Ben Yoni? Or am I incomplete Tzaddik or complete Tzaddik? Am I Rasha or incomplete Rasha? And essentially, like expression, how many angels are dancing on the tip of the needle? I mean, that's all the academic things, fine. And I guess when people blessed with a family with a lot of kids, grandkids, big family support. They come home, they eat nice, good supper or dinner, and everything is balanced and blissed. Thank God, Baruch Hashem. Then they have time to think about esoteric things. But when somebody is lonely or if somebody is not doing great, you have to take care of the needs of the person. And that is, I think, most of the world in those days and nowadays is experiencing. And to those needs, how somebody is alone and abandoned, how this lady by herself living and nobody comes to give her a cup of soup because we're too busy learning what Gemara says about planting the seeds in the field this way or that way. That's all important. But those things are attention to the human needs. In my opinion, unfortunately, oftentimes neglected. I think Tanya's idea was to reconcile those things. And I'm not sure if it always comes through clearly like that. So, Mizrat Hashem, today is January 29th, I believe, January 29th, 2024. 5:44, 5:45 every morning for about 15, 20 minutes. I am recording this. I'm sending to you guys. It's about 12 minutes recording, maybe 12 and a half. And that's it. So we're going to start coming from introduction, which I'm still covering with some thoughts and ideas, to actually Tanya itself. There's a 53 chapters there. And as we learn about Ben Yoni, complete, incomplete, we'll try to link the bridge to the present needs of people. Not necessarily too esoteric, but very practical to make this a better world. And to make a better world, it's in the eyes of the beholder. What's a better world for me may not be the same idea of having a better world for somebody else. It's nice to talk about Mashiach and the resurrection of the dead and the total happiness of the world. But if you mean and imagining how it's going to happen after 40 years, after 60 years, how many Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben Yehuda, Mashiach ben David, you go through those calculations. It's all nice. It's very esoteric. But in the meantime, how do we alleviate the suffering? How do we eliminate the suffering? How do we minimize the problem? How do we share somebody else's problem? How do we respond to somebody who needs something, without drowning ourselves in overly halachic discourses and analysis? There's a balance of that and a balance of this. We need both. And I think we want to now start to link Tanya to the needs of every human being. Sometimes it's too shy or meek to express it openly, to try to reach out for support, for love, for attention, and for peace, comfort, and chesed. And that's what it's all about. Hasidus is about chesed. Shavua Tov, Yom Tov. See you tomorrow, 5:45, every day. At Rinat Yerushalem, Der Shava.